Discovery of Jesus Christ's childhood home leaves archaeologists stunned. And this is Nazareth, today's picture. Even today, it's not that big of a city, as we can see. It looks lovely, of course. The archaeologist Ken Dark was stunned at the discovery of what may be Jesus Christ's childhood home, he believes. As families gather to celebrate Christmas now, it can be very easy to forget the true meaning of this season. For 2,000 years, people across the world observed the sacred religious holiday with a wide range of traditions, and Christians celebrate Christmas Day as the anniversary of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, the figurehead of Christianity. The Holy Bible does not mention a specific date of his birth. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke both agree that Christ was born in Bethlehem, and there was a whole turbulence as to the Virgin Mary leaving with Jesus Christ and Joseph fleeing into Egypt, and the Archangel Gabriel, of course, notified them and told them to return but go to Nazareth. So these people both describe Jesus' birth to a virgin named Mary, of course, as we know, their respective accounts, and various Gospels are in agreement that Jesus' childhood home was, in fact, in the town of Nazareth in the area of Galilee in modern-day Israel. Archaeologist Professor Ken Dark spent 14 years studying the remains of a first-century dwelling underneath a modern-day convent in Nazareth. As we know, a lot of churches were built and the holy places were built on top of sacred areas in the Holy Land. But Ken Dark published his findings in the book, The Sisters of Nazareth Convent, a Roman period, Byzantine, and Crusade site in central Nazareth. A group of nuns first stumbled upon this dwelling back in 1881. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. Professor Dark told Arnet News last year, in many ways, they were way ahead of their time. They conducted a perfectly reasonable rescue excavation or salvage excavation, he said, and he described the discovery as one of the first examples of an archaeological project directed by a woman. The idea that this was Jesus' home was dismissed by archaeologists in the 30s and remained largely forgotten until 2006. The site contained a first-century building, partly cut out of rock, that could possibly have been a dwelling. A Byzantine church was built on the ground above it, which Professor Dark suspects could be the previously lost Church of the Nutrition, built to commemorate the place where Jesus was raised and mentioned in historian Adomnan's 7th century book, Le De Locis Sanctus. And he told BBC last year, we know from written evidence this church was believed in the Byzantine period to have been built on the site of Jesus' home and the dwelling preserved in its crypt. It's almost certainly the Church of the Nutrition, which was dedicated to the upbringing of Christ and mentioned in the 7th century Pilgrim's account. The church is believed to have been burned down around the year 1200, not used for religious purposes again, until the Sisters of Nazareth started to build their convent there about 700 years later. Professor Dark said, the Byzantine Church Sisters of Nazareth seems as though it was almost certainly the building described by Adomnan. It was very large, very elaborately decorated, and probably from the 5th century. It overlays a crypt, which is also described in his book. The crypt, he says, in the crypt where there were 2 Roman period tombs, and between them there is a house. Adomnan said the house is the place where Jesus was raised, and Professor Dark adds, so we found the church, we found the crypt, and we found the house. Whoever built the house, Professor Dark said, had excellent knowledge of stoneworking. Joseph was described as a teknon in Matthew 13:55, though this has traditionally been translated into English as carpenter. Teknon means, of course, a constructor, somebody involved with construction. It's a rather general word that could cover markers of objects in various materials, including builders. Jesus was also called teknon in Mark 6:3. While the factors don't definitely prove that this is Jesus' home, Professor Dark said various factors contribute to the conclusion that it might have been. He said, if this is the childhood environment of Jesus, there's no reason to believe he grew up in anything other than the very typical Galilean rural home of this time. He said, by itself, it's not got flashing lights saying this is where Jesus lived, but it's underneath a 5th to 7th century Byzantine church. He said it's about as close as we'll probably ever get to being able to say if it was. But he said it's underneath a 5th to 7th century Byzantine church and is close to anything that it could be. Jesus' home. So, anyway, this is, we know that the mother of Saint Constantine, the Roman Empire who allowed the freedom of exercising the Christian faith in about 325 AD, his mother, Queen Helen, did go to the Holy Land and discover very major holy sites, and it could be that this was one of them as well. This is by Charlie Pittock, Express UK. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support.